guys, welcome back to my channel. My name is Yanira. I am the diabetic lady, and today I'm going to record, and I'm recording this video for my separation series. So I have right now a cup of tea that I just prepared, and I bought this new tea that is lemon berry flavor. So I just want to have a nice cup of tea with me and tell you a little bit more about my process with separation. And today, and I have my notes over here in my notebook, I want to talk about my decision to move to Ohio after I decided to go on a separation in my marriage. So when I was living in Virginia, I was having a lot of options to consider. I had first three options actually, or three places that I decided as an option. And I'm sorry, I cannot talk right now. I don't know what is going on. The first one was staying in Virginia, because I really love that area, and I love everything that I found for myself in that specific area, and how I know that the area and all that. So I felt very comfortable in there, and I wanted to stay. So that was one of my options. My second option was going back to Puerto Rico, where I grew up, where I have like all my friends, all my family, or most of my family. I have my mom, my dad, and definitely I was having a lot of family members that I want to be close to them. And my friends, my best friend is like my sister, and she's there too. So that was my second option. My third option was going to Ohio, or coming to Ohio, because my brother moved a few months back from that time to Ohio with his girlfriend. So that was an option too. I was not going to be alone in Ohio and in this new state and all that. So now saying that, let me take a little bit of this. It's too hot, so I don't know. Okay, well, I was saying that knowing that those options, I start to have the pros and the cons of each place. So what I wanted to do was staying in Virginia, and that was my first option. And at the time was like, I have the other two options just in case this doesn't work out. And I tried to look, at that point I wasn't working, so I started looking for jobs and works, and it was during the pandemic. Definitely, you know that finding jobs, and even if you had a job at that time, was a struggle, because all this new thing that was happening in the world, and the pandemic obviously it make it hard and harder to look for a job. So I started looking at that, and I received some interview calls and all that, but I was doing my budget and seeing, okay, this is the amount of money that I can have being in here and living in here in this specific job. And then I started looking for apartments, because definitely I didn't want to live in the house that I was anymore. It was too expensive, and it was a very big house only for me. so definitely I didn't want to stay there. And the reality is that the apartment were too expensive. The cheapest one that I could find at that moment was some $900 for a weird basement apartment that it didn't have a fridge, it didn't have a stove, it didn't have nothing actually. It only have like a room space, living space, and that's it. And the laundry, I needed to share that laundry with the other part of the house because it was a basement. So it wasn't a private whole apartment either. So I didn't like that option. The other option that I found was being in like a roommate apartment, being a roommate, and I don't know what that person that was doing the rental for that specific apartment was thinking, or this is how it's supposed to work, but they were like doing that specific time for the apartment. I don't even remember how much month, and or the room, and then if you wanted to move out you needed to pay him like $700. So that wasn't an option either. And that was the biggest two issues that I found, because I found a lot of different issues about that. And sorry, this is my alarm for my calm drink because I always forget before going to bed. Anyway, those two were like the craziest situation that I remember. But the reality was that it was one issue with the other, with the apartments, and they were very expensive and I couldn't pay for them with the jobs that I was applying to or having interviews from. So I needed to stop for a moment and say, okay, I cannot pay this amount for an apartment, and then I need to add for that water bills, electricity bills, my cell phone, and everything else, my car, gas, groceries, and whatever. And my biggest worry was I cannot pay anything on this, and on top of that I don't know what is going to happen with my condition, my treatment. I want to stay with the insulin pump, and I wanted to stay with my Descom because that specific treatment and the insulin that I was having, that is the same that I'm having right now, they are working much better in me, and it is practically a new treatment for me. So I didn't want to go back to getting worse with my diabetes, and that's when I decided that I couldn't stay in Virginia. One of my other options were going back to Puerto Rico, where there's a lot of people that maybe could help me there, as my mom and my dad, and definitely I could stay with my mom and my dad at their house and everything. But I moved out from Puerto Rico because I couldn't find a good job. I used to have a job there that was very toxic, and I didn't want to go back there, especially for 70-25 the hour, 70-50 the hour, and be in a very toxic environment. And plus that, I couldn't pay for insurance, my health insurance, or my treatment and whatever. Definitely, I'm sure that I wasn't going to have my best treatment in Puerto Rico, because that is the experience that I had before, and I know for a fact that I wasn't going to be comfortable living at my mom and my dad's house with everything that is going on in my life. And because I know that they love me that much, because they are my parents, I knew that I needed to leave a space between them and me, because definitely I needed to think about a lot of stuff without having opinions or feeling that overwhelmed love over me. And that is okay too. I love that they are so protective with me and everything, but I knew at that moment that I wasn't going to take it well in my process, and I needed that space because that's how I am. So definitely I needed to take out Puerto Rico as an option too, because even if I love my family and my friends and everyone in there, I needed to think about, and I tried to think about my health with a very cool mind, and that was my biggest concern. And I knew that I wasn't going to be enough. It wasn't going to be enough for me to take care of my condition being in there, because a lot of different reasons. So I take out Virginia at that point, and I take out Puerto Rico. So definitely the other option was Ohio, and I'm going to tell you about Ohio and all that after I change my battery, because it's died and I don't want to cut in the middle of the story. Okay, I'm back. Ohio. Well, I definitely think in Ohio because my brother was living here, and even if I didn't know how that was going to be with me, I definitely were going to have his help. And even if he is an adult, he's my baby brother, so I know how he's been the only boy between my sister, me and him. He's kind of more, he doesn't give his opinion like if it's not being asked for it, and he just help you without asking questions. And he had that personality where it was kind of more considered for me to be here, because I knew that even if I needed him and even if I need help, he was going to respect that time for me and let me to wait for me and say to him when I was ready to talk about whatever I needed to talk. And his girlfriend is the same. She's very respectful, and she always is. She's been very open to hear me talk and for me to say to her stuff that I need to take out of my mind and everything, and she only give opinion when I ask for them. So that is been very helpful for me for my process with everything, and I'm very happy that I take the decision to be here in Ohio instead of maybe going to Puerto Rico or staying in Virginia alone, because I was going to stay alone in Virginia. What I have here is the best options. I searched before coming here and taking the decision to coming here in Ohio, what is the cost of living, and definitely the cost of living here was less expensive than Virginia, and definitely it was more balanced from any job that I could find, and that I searched in Ohio when I was taking that and evaluating that decision. Apartment wise, I found better prices. Maybe some of the prices and the price that I'm paying for my apartment is kind of expensive compared to other apartments in this area, but definitely it is very, very, very different, and is less expensive than in Virginia. Virginia was out of the question in the prices of the houses, and that is without talking about cost of living. In here I have the same benefits of having doctors, and there are very good groups, some groups of doctors in this area, and definitely I searched for that before. The only thing that I'm still working on, and is most because the pandemic, is trying to get a good church, a church that I feel that I need to be there and that I need to be connected. I can be connected with that church. I still feel that only for the church that I was in Virginia, I still here trying to find something that like that, but I think that is because the pandemic, and because me being type 1 diabetic and being high risk, I don't want to go to services, so I'm looking everything online, and I don't feel that connection as I used to feel it with the church in Virginia. And even if I still can see the services online, I just don't want to have a church that is so far away. I want to find something in my area, because that's how I feel, and that is my own experience. That is going to be better for me. Definitely I was very emotional, and what I can say is that coping with my emotion, taking that decision, has been very, very difficult. I didn't want to move from Virginia, and sometimes I just, even with all the blessing that I'm being having here, I feel like I did a mistake going out from Virginia, because I felt so much good stuff in there that I needed to stay there, and it was going to be a better option, and I did a mistake being here. But that is sometimes that I'm feeling that, and I'm very sure that I did a mistake. It was a good option coming here. I have a good apartment, I have a good job, I have a great health insurance, and I have all my treatments. So it wasn't a mistake. The more important things for me to take this decision, I had them all. So I feel very happy and very calm and secure about my decision because of that. I definitely didn't want to move. It felt so bad at some point, especially at the beginning. I'm going to talk a little bit more with detail what started happening when I moved here, but I definitely I felt the lost. I feel the lost and everything that I lost there, and living here is excited because it's a new place, and I love to travel and have new places, but it's scary. It was so scary at the beginning because I didn't know what was going to happen. I have 1,000 times the thoughts on my mind. What happened if I don't find a good job? What happened if I don't find a job? What happened with my condition? I cannot stay in my brother's apartment my whole life. Do I need to go back to Puerto Rico if that happened? What I'm going to do, and all those stuff. So, well, you can imagine with some of those word that I just said, that my mind was very crazy, and the same with my emotion, because even if I needed that space from my husband, and I needed that process to be and to happen. Definitely it was difficult, and it hurts a lot feeling the loss of everything that I was building with my husband over there. I think I'm gonna leave this video from in here, and right now it's a little bit long, so wait for my next video. Give a thumb up, subscribe, because I'm definitely gonna tell you a little bit more of everything and all the process, and share the video, because I'm very sure that someone over there need to hear the same emotions, or need to hear what I'm saying, and in some way feel that they are not alone, because you really are not alone in this. So well, then I see you in my next video. Bye.